What's up, everyone? This is your host, Ghost, coming to you live with another wonderful, well, not live, sorry, recording, with another wonderful video. How is everyone doing today? I'm doing well myself. Um, we're going to do day 15 of the Trump trial. That is the trial we are doing today, which this video is dropping on Monday, so be on the lookout for that. Later today, I will be covering a very interesting thing that happened. Andrew Wilson went against Ling Ling, Daisy, from the chick who is accusing Fresh of impregnating her and then subsequently having an abortion. Um, so we're gonna check that out, and I'm gonna do a reaction to Andrew ending her. So be on the lookout for that. Make sure Make sure you follow me on X at officialwghost. That's the best way to find out when I go live and what I'm doing. Also, follow me on Rumble, rumble.com/withghost, and YouTube, youtube.com/@withghost, capital W, capital G. And then, what else? Twitch, twitch.tv/officialwithghost. My gaming channels are rumble.com/gamingwithghost and youtube.com/@officialgamingwithghost. Capital official, capital O, capital G, or yeah, capital W, capital G. So, all right. Yeah. So we're gonna cover day 15 of the Trump trial, and yeah, should be interesting. And then yeah, so yeah, I really got nothing else. Just follow me on those various places. Make sure you like and follow me here on Rumble or whatever you're watching this on. All right, so let's go on to this. All right, so court's back in session. Judge showed up, and I'm gonna take this out. I was listening to. Hopefully, is the end of. Anyways, like I said, I'm gonna cover Daisy being on whatever podcast and kind of getting confronted by. Well, not kind of. She definitely got confronted by Andrew Wilson. Brian kind of wishy-washed it, which is fine. I again have some problems with whatever. Not like I have like beef with him, but I have issues with how he runs his show. But I mean, who the fuck? Why the fuck would he give a shit about what I think? He's the one who's running a successful show, and I'm some loser on the internet. So he won't give two shits about what I think. But I'm gonna express what I think because I can. But yeah, props to Brian with for running a successful show. I do have issues with how it's run, not like specific, just two real big ones. But he did something really, it was pretty hilarious this show. So yeah. Anyways, let's get on to that. But like I said, I'm going to be reacting to this later today. Hopefully, I'll be able to do it live. Anyways. Attorneys are approaching the bench before the proceedings begin for day 15. Okay. And then Madeleine Westerhout was Trump's personal secretary. She's back on the stand. And jury enters. Nichols is resuming questioning. Nichols begins by asking Westerhout about 2016 while she was working for the Republican National Committee. Westerhout confirms the RNC and the Trump campaign worked extremely closely together. Okay. Westerhout is answering questions about how the RNC and Trump's campaign work together on schedules. Am I correct that every day the RNC and campaign would jointly create a travel schedule? Nichols asked. Whenever the president-elect was traveling, yes, Westerhout says. Jury is now seeing a list of Trump's contacts provided by Graf, Trump's former longtime assistant. Now, Graf was his assistant in the Trump organization, not while he was president. Westerhout was his secretary while he was president, for those who don't remember. Says that the list of contacts, including people he spoke to before he became president, as well as people he might be interested and speaking to invite him to the White House or something. There are many people on that list who never called the Oval Office, Nichols asked. Yes, many, Westerhouse agrees. Nichols emphasized these are people who Trump might contact before taking office, Westerhout confirms. Let's see. Jury is seeing a New York Times front page with the photo of Trump traveling on Air Force One for the first time. Nichols says, kind of an exciting thing, right? Very exciting. Yeah, Westerhout says, smiling. He was proud, Nichols confirmed with Westerhout, who says he was. Westerhout confirms Trump often sent newspaper clippings to his contacts. Prosecutors have cited the fact that he sent a copy to Trump's Trump Organization CFO Weisselberg. Westerhout laughs as she confirms she saw Trump sending newspaper clippings to everyone, but also says she doesn't recall him sending any other clippings to Weisselberg specifically. Nichols asked if sending newspaper clippings to his contacts was something Trump did often. Yes, quite often, Westerhout says. Nichols asked former White House aide Westerhout, whether she has any specific recollection of Weisselberg and Trump speaking during the first year that he was in office. That's correct, yes, Westerhout says. In fact, you really don't recall any call specifically between him and Weisselberg, Nichols asked. No, he spoke to so many people, Westerhout said. There was another sidebar, apparently, after an objection from the prosecution. The first sidebar ended, and Nichols started asking Westerhout about his travel schedules. Now they're back at the bench after prosecutors are objecting over his travel schedules. Madden Gold was given the chance to ask Westerhout about whether she had viewed these specific schedules. Westerhout says her lawyers had shown them to her this morning, but she wasn't sure whether she had seen these specific schedules while she still worked at the RNC. Judge denied the introduction of travel schedules into evidence. Nichols is now moving on a line of questioning about checks. Westerhout testified yesterday about how checks were sent. Remember, if you guys aren't sure, this happened Friday, May 10th. So this was Friday that this happened. So obviously when they say yesterday, they're not talking about Sunday, they're talking about Thursday. But I cover the day after because that's when I can cover it. Testified yesterday about how checks were sent from the Trump Organization to the White House employee. You walked into the White House and you don't know how presidents will get personal items, Nichols asked now. No, I did not, Westerhout says. Westerhout is saying that at some point she was told a post office box was set up for the president to receive personal items. Nichols asked whether they learned that was a really slow way to receive things. Yes, Westerhout says with a laugh. There were times personal items were sent to the White House and Trump never received them. Westerhout confirms to Nichols. Trump felt it was disrespectful if he didn't return calls promptly. Westerhout tells Nichols. When speaking about the slowness of receiving post items via a post office box, Westerhout agrees that the delay is how Schuyler, the former president bodyguard, ended up receiving personnel from Trump and Melania. Nichols is now going back to prosecutors' arguments that some of the checks Trump's handled were sent to employees' personal addresses. That's what this whole testimony about FedEx packages was about, right? It was a way items could be sent to you and you could get them promptly to President Trump, Nichols asked, placing emphasis on the word promptly. That's right, Westerhout says. With this line of questioning, Nichols is offering an innocent explanation through Westerhout for why Trump's personal mail, like checks to be signed for Trump's personal accounts, were sent to an employee's personal address rather than through official White House channels. All right. So yeah, kind of was like, stopping a nefarious. Oh, there's a reason he's doing it because he's hiding from him. He's like, no, it's just quicker, which kind of makes sense. Westerhout testified about the personal mail issue inside the White House, saying I don't know what it's like in other administrations, but I can't imagine it would have been it would have been any different. If he had time when you gave them to them, he would sign them right away, Westerhout said after Nichols asked about the checks. If he had time and if he was in the office, yes, Westerhout said. Nichols is asking about Trump's habits on signing and reviewing documents. She's digging into whether he signing hundreds of documents a day. Not every day, but sometimes, Westerhout says. Would you see him sign things without reviewing them? Nichols asks. Yes, Westerhout says. Westerhout confirms that Trump would sign checks while doing other things, like sometimes while he was on the phone or meeting with others. So this is a way to kind of say, like, he's just signing the checks. He's just getting the checks. He's signing them. He's not really paying attention. And all the prior to this, all these was, oh, he's very detailed oriented. He's really focused. He's detail oriented. He reviews everything. Now this is kind of changing that because, again, this is all in the context of when he's just solely focused on running a business. Okay. And let's be honest, while running a business is extremely difficult, running a country, a lot more. So there's a lot more things. There's national security, there's a bunch of stuff. So like him being able to review stuff and everything, it has more, and being able to do that at a company doesn't really ring true. And I think anyone who's intelligent would think like, there's no way he could do that while he's running a nation. Okay. He couldn't like stop everything because some things need real quick decisions. Some things are mundane. He needs to do like 30 things at once. He's got, he's talking, with allies there. He's, reviewing things real quick. He's got aides. He's just signing stuff like, hoping that, everything's going to go good. Like, so this testimony here is kind of defeating their prosecution's point of, oh, he knew everything that was going on. He was always focused. Now the person closest to him has just said, like the person who sees him every day is just not that far from him within it, who would give him all this, who would generally give him this checks to sign, did admit that one, he signed things without reviewing them. He's also was signing checks while doing other things, so his focus wasn't 100% on the text. And if he's on a phone call or a meeting with others, his focus is probably less on the meeting, on the check signing, and more on the meeting. So he could be like, boom, all right, cool, check, got it, boom. You're not reviewing them. He was a person who would multitask. Nichols asked about the former president. Yes, definitely, Westerhout says. Nichols is now asking about an invoice from the Winged Foot Golf Club, where longtime assistant Raff had asked for Westerhout's help in whether to suspend or pay for his membership while he was president. His answer, one word, just pay. Technically, that's two words, but Nichols says, boom, it was off his desk. Yes, Westerhout says. Technically, just pay is two words, not one word. Just saying. Westerhout says she spoke with Trump after the article about the Stormy Daniels story was published. He was very upset about it. Westerhout says, my understanding was he knew it would be hurtful to his family. Westerhout then clarifies that was her understanding, but not that Trump specifically said that to her. He didn't specifically speak about his family in that conversation, she says. All right, cross-examination is done. Man goes back up. Let's see. So Westerhout spoke with defense attorney Nichols once before on Wednesday night, the day before she was called as a witness. Nichols was for 1 hour via Zoom. Westerhout met with prosecutors 3 times for hours. That's good detail. Let's see. Mangold is asking whether the FedEx method of sending checks was an end around White House security protocols. Not to my understanding, Westerhout said, adding it was just a way to get things to Trump faster. Yeah, no, that doesn't make any sense, because even if it goes through someone else, they would have to declare that the people would have to, examine it, not like screen it, make sure there was nothing in there or anything, I'm sure. So just because you bring in some stuff doesn't mean it's not going to be, run through the ringer or whatever, everything like that. So it doesn't make any sense that would, and I don't know if can't remember if she said that they'd still be in the FedEx thing, or she would just get, the checks. Like, someone would just, Shiler would just come, drop off the checks. They're still in their little envelopes, or if they were still in the FedEx thing. I don't remember. I think they still would have been in FedEx thing, but they still be run through the ringer, make sure everything was, there wasn't like, any bomb residue or some shit like that. So it just mean that, and this makes a lot of sense to me, that you would do FedEx instead of, getting a PO box at the White House or doing things, because it could go in the PO box and it could sit for forever. I mean, how often do you really check your mail? Let's be honest. If you get a lot of junk shit and sit, like, how often do you really check your mail? Some people may check it once a week, but these are checks that generally require, him to get as soon as possible. So him tries doing an end rounds, like, I'll just FedEx it. The person will receive it. They'll come, drop it off at the White House, get it signed, and I will send it back out. That makes a lot of sense to me, actually. I'm sure a lot of presidents probably do shit that way. Not maybe like specifically signing checks, but if they want something personal, they'll have it sent to someone nearby, and they'll come bring it in. It makes a lot of sense because, again, like, how often do you check your mailbox, and how often, it makes sense. It just makes a lot of sense to me. That's it. So apparently, all right. So they smiled back at each other. At the end of the redirect, Westerhout confirmed she works as the chief of staff to the chair of American Global Strategies, who is Trump's former national security advisor, Robert O'Brien. Okay, so apparently, okay. All right, so an AT&T led compliance analysis is the next witness. He's under subpoena as a records custodian. So they're probably trying to get a bunch of shit into record, and he's the one to do it. Let's see. His name's Daniel Dixon. Dixon is being asked about call detail records and subscriber records that are kept by AT&T. Let's see. Records from AT&T have been admitted into evidence. They're being brought up to show jurors. One of the AT&T records admitted into evidence is from Michael Cohen's cell phone. Dixon is going into detail about what subscriber reports are and what in-call records are. He's defining certain words, including mobile, wireline, voice usage, and SMS. He adds that AT&T records are kept in the UTC time zone. This may be the most tedious testimony of the trial so far. It's required like other custodians because Trump's lawyers would not agree to admit the evidence. Yeah, why would they? So they're getting all this tedious stuff out of the way, and then probably, just to tee up the Michael Cohen one. Most juries are still paying attention to Dixon's testimony. Dixon, that's interesting. All right, so it's cross-examination. So they've admitted all this stuff, and now cross-examination has started. Let's see, when did he start? So he's got on the stand. So he wasn't on the stand for very long. So I wonder what they're going to cross-examine him about. It is now beginning. Bove introduced himself, says he represents Trump to his left. Okay. As asking what one code on the form stands for, it's the serial number of an SIM card, Dixon says. And an SIM can be a SIM. Why am I... SIM, everyone knows that. SIM card. A SIM can be pulled out of one phone and put into another, Bove says. Yes, Dixon confirms. Bove is now asking about the limits of certain call records. These records don't reflect the content of these calls, correct, Dixon says. You can't tell from the records themselves who actually spoke, correct, Dixon says. You're familiar with the concept of a pocket dial, suggesting the transaction records could have been an accidental call. Dixon's off the stand, no redirect. 23 minutes total. In a written order Friday, the judge Merchant granted prosecutors' motion to squash a subpoena from Trump's lawyers to seek to compel former Manhattan prosecutor Mark Pomerantz to turn over more records. Merchant calls Trump's request for all records for a 13-month period from several individuals covering a range of topics, including Conan's recollection of interaction with Trump's and any form of bias and animosity towards Trump as an improper fishing expedition. And I agree, that's probably what it was. Trump's lawyers are also asked for documents relating to the 2021 and February 2021 internal memo on whether Stormy Daniels committed extortion or larceny, and B, whether Trump was a victim of blackmail. Okay, Merchant ruled Friday that information is protected as privileged work product, while also calling the request impermissibly broad. Merchant denied another request in the subpoena seeking years of communications between personnel within the Manhattan DA's office, calling an apparent attempt to obtain District Attorney New York internal communications about their discovery obligations. Okay. So yeah, that was a fishing expedition. Oh shit, district. Oh no, he's not. He's just the DA who entered. Let's see. So Jenny Tomlin is the next witness. She works for Verizon as a senior analyst in executive relations. Tomlin is also testifying about caller and subscription records kept by Verizon. So this is going to be the exact same thing as the AT&T guy. Let's see, records that prosecutors are inducing through Tomlin related to 12 subscriber phone records. She says the records from Verizon are accepted into evidence, including one of the phones from Weiselberg. They cross-examine. Bove is asking Tomlin about Verizon records, including one for Keith Davidson. That's it. That's a break. She testified 12 minutes. The lawyers are now taking up an objection to an upcoming exhibit. Bove says that the exhibit is a clip of Trump on Larry King Live in '99 being asked about campaign finance laws. Bove argues that Trump's view on campaign finance in '99 is not relevant to his state of mind in 2016 or 2017. There was extensive revisions to campaign finance laws in intervening periods, both both statutory and by the Supreme Court. Mangold says that the corporation contribution ban, which is what's relevant here, has been a part of campaign finance law since 2007. Judge Merchant says he will rule after the break. But did Trump talk about corporate contribution ban? Like, did he talk about that at all on Larry King Live in '99? Because that would be important. All right. So Judge is back. Judge sides with defense, saying he will not allow Trump's interview in '99 about campaign finance into evidence. He says trying to draw an inference for what he knew in 15 or 17 is a step too far. All right, so they're ending early today. That's because what I saw was there was going to be some motion, basically a gag order for Conan, if I remember correctly. They're going until 1 p.m. ET, or perhaps a little later, but will not return after lunch. So they're going to do an early day. They got 2 more witnesses, which they estimate will take about an hour, according to reporters in the courtroom. They have 1 more evidentiary issue to take up after their testimonies. Georgie Longstreet is being called back to the witness stand. The paralegal at the Manhattan District Attorney's Office testified last week. Longstreet tells prosecutor Mangold that as part of her duties as paralegal, she's responsible for analyzing records produced via subpoena. I don't remember her testifying. I could not remember. Let's see. Longstreet says the team of paralegals have reviewed and saved public posts from Trump's Twitter account. This is how prosecutors are entering additional Trump tweets into evidence. Longstreet is testifying about the text messages she reviewed for this case. She and the other paralegals on the case have reviewed 500 pages of text messages in relation to the case. She personally reviewed about 100 pages. The paralegals are reviewing over 10,000 pages of call records for the case. She personally reviewed 200 to 300, she says. Paralegals are reviewing 300 to 500 pages of of contact records. She says she matched about 50 contacts to the phone records. They reviewed 75 different court cases. Blanche renewed his objection to tweets from former president being admitted in evidence. Judge overrules. Shocking. Okay, it's now being shown some of Trump's tweets. The first set is a thread related to Conan, dated April 21st of 18. It's also attacks New York Times reporter Maggie Haberman, who's in the courtroom today as well. The tweet is days after Conan's home, apartment, and hotel room were raided by the FBI. Longstreet reads another tweet about Trump on August 22nd, 2018. If anyone is looking for a good lawyer, I strongly suggest that you don't retain the services of Michael Conan. The audible laugh to this from the public section in the overflow room. Another tweet is read about the same day, from the same day. Writes he feels very badly for Paul Manafort and his wonderful family. The day before this tweet, on the 21st of August, Manafort was found guilty in federal court and Conan pled guilty. Okay. Longstreet continues reading tweets from Trump, including a thread from May 3rd, 2018, which starts out, Mr. Conan, an art attorney, received a monthly retainer not from the campaign and having nothing to do with the campaign, which he entered it through reimbursement of private contract between two people known as non-disclosure agreement, or NDA. This tweet was at the same time Rudy Giuliani told Fox News, Sean Hannity, that Trump paid back Conan the $130K in hush money that was used to pay off Stormy Daniels. So Trump's attorney fought this tweet about Conan and Conan's retainer and others from coming in before the trial, arguing Trump should be protected by presidential immunity for these public posts. He published during what they say arguably was in his capacity as president. They are. This was also one of the unsuccessful attempts to delay the trial. The lawyers asked at the time for judge to wait for the Supreme Court to weigh in on presidential immunity claims. It's going to be interesting because they may have to end up doing, if the Supreme Court says, yeah, Trump has immunity, they may have to require a mistrial because those tweets are in, and I do believe they are related to his office, his capacity as president. Even if it's at the broadest strokes, so we'll just have to see. But let's say let's say hypothetically, the Supreme Court rules yes on immunity, and the judge something, and they do the broad stroke theory like they do with civil cases. If it even possibly could be interpreted as his capacity as president, which these tweets are, he is defending. He's defending himself and, kind of hoping to attain re-election stuff, which kind of is a part of his capacity as president. And defending his, basically defending himself as well. But also, it's his, it's the capacity of president to ensure that the thought of, what's the word I'm looking for? Any impropriety is shut down. Not forcefully, but shut down in the sense of defending oneself and trying to, take gas of any, thoughts of impropriety. It's part of the president's capacity so people can continue to believe in the president's and, the presidency itself. So that I would believe that, doing this type of tweet would be in his capacity as president, even if it's the furthest, broadest strokes. And if that ends up being the decision, it may not be, it may not. I do think they're going to vote for immunity. I just don't know what they're going to go off of for immunity. But if that's the case, and the jury's already seen this tweet, but Trump, and they've continued with, they've sustained, or they've made this objection, they could very well end up getting a mistrial in this sense, and they would have to try and retry him again and to remove some of these tweets or some of this stuff from the record. Not remove them from the record, but a new trial and presumably a jury that hasn't seen this. Okay, Longstreet is now being shown messages between Howard and Daniels' then publicist, Rodriguez. On June 28th, Rodriguez wrote to Howard, "Are you working in favor of Trump?" Howard responded immediately, out typo. CEO endorsed him, but I'm not. No. The message were visible on screen. Longstreet is now reading some of them. One message from Rodriguez on April 7th of 16, but Stormy Daniels was his mistress. Howard responded the same day, I bet she was. And also, can you email me what you have on that? Rodriguez said, yes, I will. Okay. Longstreet is now reading more text between Daniels' publicist, Rodriguez, and Howard into record. The jury saw these texts during Daniels' trial. Rodriguez, is she ready to talk? I thought she denounced it previously. She said she will do it under 2 conditions, and she never did. That was Rodriguez responding. Longstreet is reading additional text messages from Rodriguez and Howard several times, asking about how AMI was handling Daniels' story. On July 23rd of 16, what happened with Daniels' interview on Trump? Howard responded, let's discuss it this week. The texts that are being read now move into October of 16, when Rodriguez then tells Howard that Daniels is willing to confirm her story on the record. October 8th of 16, Daniels and Trump, with her redacted lines, is up on Dirty, and Fox News has been calling Stormy, has not confirmed or spoken. Are you interested? Howard also asked Rodriguez to email him the pitch so he can evaluate it, elevate it to then CEO Pecker. He likely will pay, Howard texts, with Rodriguez writing $250K. But it wasn't about the money, guys. A series of text messages between Daniels and between Rodriguez and Howard regarding their negotiations for Daniels' story were introduced to jurors today. Here are those messages. I can get $100K. LOL. What about 150, 110, 125? LOL. 120. Sold. But guys, it wasn't about the money. Further text between from Rodriguez and Howard on 17th of 06, October 17th of 06, of 16, shows them discussing the deal not happening. Here's what they said. We're not doing the Trump deal. Kenneth gave me the heads up. What happened? They didn't pay when they said they would and keep trying to buy more time. Daily Mail wants it bad, so we're doing it. Fair call. Their sink loss. Longstreet reads more messages between Howard and Rodriguez on October 25th of 16. Okay, but Howard, I blew a gasket at this people and told them not to fuck with people. Message made and heard. I had to apologize to my CEO. Howard messaged on the same day. I explained that 2 people saved his ass today, and I'm leading this call with his people. I'm going to tell them how it's going to happen. Rodriguez responded, thank you so much. Do you think it will happen? Howard, yes, they were told in no uncertain terms. Howard added, I'm not going to burn my lifelong contacts for these fuckers. All right, so prosecution wrapped up. Blanche is now up. Blanche started his cross-examination by asking Longstreet if she has continued to review social media, such as Conan's TikTok from several days ago. Prosecution objected. Judge overruled. Longstreet says she has not reviewed his TikTok account recently. Blanche is arguing that Longstreet reads social media posts introduced into trial but cannot offer any context around them. When Ms. Rodriguez talks about offers from Daily Mail and timing of those offers, you have no knowledge of whether she was telling the truth, do you? Blanche asks. No, Longstreet says. Blanche points out that Pecker testified that about texts he was a party to and could offer context. But in this case, Longstreet has no personal knowledge of these text messages, their context, or whether any of them are true. You just read what was written in the exhibit, correct? Blanche asks, and that was different from when Pecker is asked the reasoning behind text messages, correct? Yes, Longstreet says. Were you also tasked with reviewing Miss Daniels' social media over the past couple of years? Blanche asked. Yes, she answered. She did not review a tweet from Daniels last night, she says. Now, this is very important. So either Rodriguez and Howard are refusing to show up when they can't be subpoenaed for whatever reason, or I don't know what's going on. But Blanche is pointing out something really important. Like when Pecker was testifying, as he says, he could say, oh, this is what I meant. This is what I was thinking. But with Longstreet, all she can do is just read verbatim what's written. And it's not really helpful. And she can't even, be able to go, you can't go into more details with her about what anything was saying is being true, or they're all lying their asses off, which is very important. She testified for 44 minutes today. Last Friday, she testified 26, bringing her a total, I don't even care. Why am I reading this? Oh, and then we're going to read another paralegal. All right. Next witness is Jaden Jamil Schneider. That's a weird fucking name. Who is another paralegal in the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. Jamal Schneider was tasked on this case with analyzing phone records, including the AT&T and Verizon records introduced earlier today. He reviewed reports on Conan's phone. His review included text messages and call logs. Schneider, I'm just going to call him Schneider because I'm not going to keep giving that hyphen and shit, prepared a report to show which phone numbers were associated with which people and where the phone numbers show up in evidence. Schneider is going through how he prepared the reports. He's also going into detail like how they normalize the time zone from different carriers. Schneider is now confirming that the exhibits are calls between people like Howard, Davidson, Rodriguez, and other witnesses. Calls between Conan, Howard, Conan, Pecker, Conan, Schuyler, and Conan and Weiselberg are among those analyzed. The exhibits are being introduced into evidence. Let's see. The first document prosecutors are going to go through shows called between Conan and Weiselberg. Documents include times in both ET and UTC, who the calls was from, who it was to, and the duration of the call. Schneider said he identified an incoming call to Conan's phone at the same time that his recording ended. For context, prosecutors have said that the Conan's recordings of his conversation with Trump about the McDougal payoff was cut off by an incoming call. Bove, on cross-examination of the forensic witness expert from the district attorney's office, suggested there was no incoming call. Okay. Bove objects to the next exhibit prosecutors want to introduce. Defense engaged in sidebar with prosecutors following Bove's objection. They object. So he won that objection, I guess. The next exhibit is a summary chart of vouchers, checks, and ledgers entries according to reporters in the courtroom. Oh, okay. That's not important. Let's see. The jury is now seeing a summary chart of 34 business records that the prosecutors allege have been falsified. This includes 11 invoices, 12 vouchers, and 11 checks. Each respective invoice, check, voucher, or check is in the demonstrative exhibit has a corresponding count number to spell out the indictment for the jury. Now, all they show is the records they allege have been falsified. They do still have to prove or show proof of it being falsified. And I think it has to also be intentionally falsified. You can't just finger fucked and accidentally had it changed and be like, oh shit, I didn't realize I accidentally changed it. The summary chart shows the 34 business records prosecutors allege have been falsified. I think, and I could be wrong, but I think the prosecution is about to almost wrap up their case in chief. So we may be hearing from the defense maybe sometime next week. I don't know. I could be absolutely wrong. I have no fucking clue. I'm just guessing at this point. Sorry. Bove is now questioning the district attorney's office paralegal Schneider. Not important. Bove began by asking Schneider whether the work he prepared took a lot of time. At times, tedious work, Bove asked. Honestly, I kind of enjoyed it, Schneider responded, prompting laughter in the courtroom. Several jurors laughed too. I hear that. Respect, Bove says. What the fuck? Okay, let's see. Bove is challenging the evidence prosecutors are putting forward, asking Schneider about the deletions of some toll records between Davidson and Conan after the defense submitted recordings between the two from 18. The paralegal has admitted that they've deleted some call records from files. Oh shit. Also, Bove has Schneider confirmed that some calls were removed from the exhibit from an exhibit of calls between Rodriguez and Howard. Bove said it was 3 pages worth of records. Schneider took issue with Bove characterizing it as a significant number, but he did acknowledge some were removed. At this trial, you're sort of the guardian of the toll records, Bove asked. I don't know if I'd say that, but if you say so, Schneider responded. He took umbrage with the significant part, but I mean, 3 pages worth of records. I mean, I would call that significant. Could be a call or two. Maybe more. Prosecutors are now, cross-examination is over. Prosecutor Conroy is handling this round of conversations. Conroy is asking Schneider about why the summary charts were shortened. Paralegal said the calls were cut from the summary chart are still in evidence elsewhere. He says they were trimmed for the summary exhibit. My understanding is the decision was always going to be that we would admit that part of the call summaries related to what had come out in trial. Schneider is clarifying his understanding of why there are 2 call records around Conan's recording after Bove had argued that one of them went to voicemail according to the records. This is being argued over because this call recording happened when Conan recording of Trump had been about McDougal was cut off. The recording cut off, and that's why you're looking for a toll like this, Bove asked. Yes. I'm not sure if the recording would have automatically cut off whether the call was answered or not, Schneider added. Okay, so God damn it, these people are pissing me off. So I'm assuming this part was part of a recross. Oh, wow. Okay, so prosecution just finished with the witness testimony for today. Judge reads his lengthy instructions to court about avoiding news coverage and discussion, blah, blah. Trump was in full conversation with Bove. Merchant paused and said to them, "You done?" They stopped talking and looked at him. Merchant then continues. Okay, I was right. So I honestly had no idea. When I get on these, I go and I scroll until the end and then wait for it to reset and I scroll to the end. So I did not expect this, but it looks like they may end up resting next week. Judge is asking about scheduling next week. We expect to call 2 witnesses, prosecutor Sanglas asked, and I think it's entirely possible we will rest by the end of next week. So, hey, that's interesting. That's really interesting. I'm good. All right. Now, again, here's the thing. They still, at least from what CNN has posted up, I don't know because I can't watch it because the judge is fucking retarded and decided, I'm not going to let this be streamed live. But I don't know is this a federal case? It might be because it's a federal case, but I don't know if there's any rules requiring federal cases not be streamed. I could be wrong, but I don't know. I don't think that's a federal case. Falsifying business records, that doesn't sound like a federal case to me. Anyways, let's see. So Conroy says they want to submit Weisselberg's severance agreement from the Trump organization into evidence. The defense objects. He is an uncalled government witness, Bove says of Weisselberg, saying the prosecuting theory is that he conspired with Conan and gave instructions to McConney. Weisselberg absent from the trial is a very complicated issue, Bove says. Bove says they'll likely need an instruction for the jury about uncalled witnesses on both sides if it is unclear if Trump will testify. Mr. Weisselberg is in prison right now and not available to anyone, Bove said. Bove also says the severance agreement is unduly prejudicial. It argues that would be undue prejudicial to the jury to admit the severance agreement, saying it's unduly confusing because Weisselberg is in prison. If either side tried to call him, he'd likely invoke his Fifth Amendment. Bove says, "We don't think it's relevant that he entered into this agreement after the fact," Bove also says. Conroy weighs in, saying, "What we are looking to do is explain from our perspective why he's not here." Weisselberg's interests are aligned with the defendant's, Conroy says. The agreement includes provisions for Weisselberg not to disparage the company or its officers and employees, Conroy said. Conroy said he imagined the defense will make arguments about whether he should have been here and what him not being here means. Well, okay, so this agreement includes provisions for Weisselberg not to disparage the company or its officers and employees. It's a very common thing with a severance agreement. It's very common, so this is bullshit. Judge asked if anyone has attempted to compel Weisselberg's testimony. Conroy says that they have not. I think it would be helpful to me in making my decision if I could see that some effects were taken to compel his appearance, Merchant says. Merchant suggests Weisselberg could be brought into the stand outside the president's jury and see if he would testify or assert his Fifth Amendment right now. The Fifth Amendment. Right now, we're speculating, Merchant said. Judge said he would like to know that Weisselberg won't testify even if compelled before he can rule whether the severance agreement is admissible under the rules of evidence. And then Blanche is now moving on to ask the judge to put a gag order in place so Conan cannot speak publicly about the case. Blanche points out the TikTok the TikTok Conan posted this week wearing a white T-shirt with a picture of Trump behind bars. He also asked for the judge to order the prosecution to instruct the witness not to talk about this case. Conan is expected to begin his testimony on Monday. Blanche is asking judge to order the prosecution to instruct Conan, who is expected to testify on Monday, not to talk about this case. Defense is asking the court order the government to instruct the witness to not talk about Trump or this case until the case is over, Blanche says. Steinglass responds saying they have no control over what witnesses do. We have repeatedly asked the witnesses not to do that. He says, adding, prosecutors have repeatedly instructed all the witnesses in this case to the extent we have control over it. Oh, so you can gag the president whose campaign, the running candidate, the main candidate who's on trial for some bullshit charges. You can gag him, but you can't gag your own fucking witness. Fuck you, prosecutors. Fuck you. Judge says he would direct the people to communicate to Conan that the judge is asking him to refrain from making any more statements about this case or Trump. Merchant tells the prosecutors to inform him this is coming from the bench. Like, what kind of bullshit is that? And you know what? Good on the judge for like, look, I'm telling Trump not to do it. I've enforced your gag orders. This seems very fair to be like, hey, tell your fucking guy he can't comment either. Fuck the prosecutor. Oh, I don't have any control over the witnesses. Well, that may be true. You could have gone and said like, hey, judge, could we get a gag order on Conan to also prevent him from speaking? I think it's just fair. You know, the prosecutors could have done that. They didn't. They want to gag Trump, but they don't want to gag Conan because it's good for Conan to be able to speak up and shit. It helps their case, and Trump can't say anything, which is hurting his chances of becoming president. Complete and utter bullshit. All right, that's the end of it. I hope you guys enjoy the video. Make sure you like and subscribe. We will be back Tuesday. I think Tuesday maybe also a recording. I'm not entirely sure. Tuesday maybe a recording. Be on the lookout for that. I'm hoping not, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. But on Monday in the afternoon, well, today in the afternoon as you're seeing this recording, I will hopefully at some point be doing a live stream, covering the whatever podcast, putting Daisy Ling on and Andrew Wilson just annihilating her. So we'll check that, and we'll provide some evidence that she probably is completely bullshitting. That I haven't finished watching the podcast because I don't normally watch, but I'm not finishing it because I wanted to do this recording. But hopefully there will be a point where they, point out like, well, this thing that you provided has a certain wording, and by this wording, it kind of sounds like you had an abortion when you got this pregnancy test done. Like at the same time, you got the pregnancy test, it confirmed it, and you went along with the recording. So we'll do that. I'll take a screen grab from it. So yeah. All right. I hope you all have a good day. Make sure you like and follow, and peace out. See you later.